Welcome to the second season of Conflict of Interest. Tonight we're doing a topic that I find personally very difficult. It is abortion. I've never done this on the media before because I've never really wanted to face up exactly to what my own position might be, and I've agonised over this for the last few days and to reach a position which I'll explain to you in a minute. It seems to me that the issues and the supporters can be broken down into three categories generally. The first one is the prohibitionists who reject all abortions. I disagree with that. And tonight our guest will support that position. Her name is Denise Cameron, who is the president of Pro-Life Victoria. The second position is what I call the civil libertarians, who say all abortions are acceptable. It's a decision for the woman, it's her body, and it's nothing to do with society. I disagree with that. And that's my co-host's position, Greg Barnes. The third position is mine, which is a really middle ground, which I always find uncomfortable, is that I believe that abortion is acceptable, but that late-term abortion is not acceptable. My name's Peter Farris.
Peter, I agree with you. I think it is a very difficult issue, and it's not one that lends itself to, taking a rigid position always. The issue with late-term abortions has come to my attention in the past few years. That Dr. Lachlan de Crepty, who was a gynaecologist and obstetrician in Victoria, who was involved in a case, I'm not sure if you remember, a case a few years ago where he aborted a 32-week fetus which had dwarfism. And he sort of campaigned on this issue for some time now about, saying that some defects don't become apparent until after 20 weeks, 24 weeks. And therefore, his position seems to have been factored into what's happening in Victoria this week, which of course is the abortion law reform bill, which I think is going into the upper house, having been through I don't think it's been voted on in the lower house, but going into the upper house.
How many weeks is that going to be?
Well, that's going to take some weeks, but I mean...
No, for abortion.
That's 24, that says up to 24 weeks, and then after 24 weeks, you need, there are a series of conditions set out as to how you have if you have an abortion. Interestingly, I think the difficulty with this issue, and it's shown in who's supporting and who's not supporting the bill. Premier John Brumby, Opposition Leader Ted Baillieu are both supporting it, and yet there are MPs in the Labor Party who aren't.
It's a true conscience vote.
It's a true conscience vote. It's a genuine conscience vote because it is a genuine conscience issue.
Well, look, my position is that I don't have a problem with abortions up to late-term abortions. The question is, where do you draw the line? Well, as you know, as a lawyer, all lines drawn are quite arbitrary and will always produce some hard cases. But I think we need a bit of certainty, and for my part, I'd say any abortion up to 23 weeks should be regarded as being legal, but I would make it illegal, I'd make it a crime after that, unless there were convincing or exceptional medical circumstances. What do you think?
Well, look, I mean, Peter, I can understand that position, and I think that is a position that I think probably, we'll ask Denise Cameron about this, but I think probably the majority of the community in Australia and certainly in Victoria would take. I haven't seen, I think surveys on this are pretty unreliable. I think the other issue to look at is, do we have a serious problem of the number of abortions in Australia? I mean, that has been something that Tony Abbott raised.
Well, I think I think the other end of it, which is the women getting pregnant, particularly the teenagers, the unmarried teenagers, is a real social problem, and I think that needs to be dealt with.
One of the issues which I think is interesting to deal with is the fact that the focus has been on late-term abortions in some of the debate.
Yes.
Late-term abortions, I understand, are very rare, not just in Victoria but right throughout Australia. I suspect part of the argument against late-term abortion is that you get people who simply say, look, my child might be born with Down syndrome, therefore, no, I don't want it now, and then make a decision, a sort of capricious decision or a callous decision then to abort that child. On the other hand, Lachlan de Crepty and others say that some of the serious genetic defects or serious defects in a child don't become apparent until after 20 to 24 weeks. The endangering of the mother's life can still be a factor after 20 to 24 weeks,
Yeah,
and
well,
therefore
I
you've got
don't
to
think-
allow it in certain circumstances.
I don't think either of us dispute that. I mean, I'm quite comfortable. If there's serious medical reasons, well, then I'm quite comfortable with that.
Why do you think, though, abortion is such, when it becomes a topic in the media, and we've seen this week in Victoria,
It's an incredibly...
it just becomes extraordinarily emotive.
Well, just look at America. I mean, in the States, the decision of Roe and Wade, which was the 1960s,
1973.
73,
US Supreme
of the
Court.
US Supreme Court permitting or overruling states which wanted to ban abortion, has been almost the single most contentious issue in the law since that time. I mean, it's, and to be honest, I don't really understand why it's so emotive.
Well, I guess that, you're talking about human life, and one of the issues is the question of rights, and whether you frame this debate in terms of rights. Now, the Victorian Charter of Rights and Responsibilities I think excludes the unborn child. Is that correct?
Specifically, yes, they amended the draft to say that only persons have human rights. In other words, if a child is born today, it is a person and has human rights, but yesterday when it was in the womb but due to be born, it has no rights. And I disagree with that. I think if you're going to give statutory human rights, they should be extended to a viable fetus.
So you would say that after 24 weeks, the Charter protections ought to kick in at that point.
Yes, and you'd have the right. See, under the Charter gives you, Victorian Charter gives you the right to life.
Yeah.
But then it takes it away from the unborn child.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think they really need to bite the bullet there.
So this is a real issue then for rights activists, people like myself who are supporters of the Charter, whether or not the Charter goes far enough in protecting human life.
Well, it doesn't protect the life of the unborn child. And I find that very troubling. I mean, to take the classic example, if today the woman bears the child and the child's born and it's killed, well, that's murder.
Yeah.
Yesterday, if she's shot in the stomach and the fetus dies, it's not murder.
It's not murder.
Because it's not a person and has no rights.
Yeah.
Well, I find I'm very uncomfortable with
that. The law in this area has been inherently fuzzy. We've got to take a break, but when we come back, we'll have Denise Cameron from Pro-Life Victoria, and we'll continue this debate, and in particular have a look at the viewpoint of Denise and others, which essentially says that abortion should be outlawed, period.